Good afternoon, everyone. Just before midnight, our emergency communications center receives a phone call from a caller saying that his friend called him and asked him to come to a residence to come help him throw out some trash. When he arrived at the residence, he immediately noticed that the trash that his friend wished him to dispose of was a deceased male victim wrapped in plastic in the back seat, laying across the back seat of a car. He helped our deputies guide us in here to the 5600 block of Center Street, where the first two responding deputies saw the deceased individual laying in the back seat of the car, and at the same time heard a male and female voice from inside a 8x10 shed, approximately maybe 2 feet, 3 feet from where our homicide victim was located in the vehicle. They bang on the door, ask the subjects to come out, and are met with a lot of profanity, telling the deputies to back off, that he has a hostage. Fearing for the hostage's safety, they grab a crowbar. These deputies are being diligent. They're going in to make sure they can get this hostage, not knowing what's on the other side of that door. Up until the point where this erratic, profanity-filled individual also stated now that he was armed, that he had a gun, that he had a firearm. That at that point, they had to retreat, do a safe distance from the shed, and activate properly our SWAT team and our negotiators. They arrive on scene a short time later, get set up, relieve the responding deputies, and begin immediately continue these negotiations from a bullhorn perspective. During this time, as they're trying to talk to the individual, they can see through a small window above an air condition that this suspect that continues to get more erratic is waving this gun in a threatening manner. Now, what do I mean by a threatening manner? Imagine a thin aluminum shed where probably practically any caliber could go make entry outside of that shed. So not only are the people inside that shed in danger, anyone in close proximity to this armed homicide suspect is in danger too. The caller also tells us at some point that the person responsible for this homicide is inside this shed as well. So we feel confident that our bad guy, our person who now has this poor hostage that's not allowed to leave, is holding her against her will. Matter of fact, that at some point during the negotiations, this 9.5-hour negotiation, where most individuals start to de-escalate, they start to calm down, we start to make some progress in obtaining that peaceful resolution. He was just the opposite. He became even more hostile. He was talking about, I promise I will die here today. I'm not coming out, and I'm not letting the hostage out. I'm going to burn them, except for one. That's my insurance policy. So he was saying that his hostage that he was holding was his insurance policy, and that things will go boom. At some point towards the end of this 9.5-hour negotiation, this very hostile, again, armed homicide suspect reveals himself by the window, and one of our SWAT operators is able to discharge his rifle, striking our suspect one time. At that time, that immediately activates hostage rescue. So the SWAT team immediately makes entry and goes in and is able to remove this hostage to a place where she's now free of any further danger. It's because of this SWAT operator's actions that she is now safe and free from any further harm. Our suspect is Juan Sarmiento. He's 42 years of age, and he's no stranger to law enforcement. He's been arrested on 8 felony charges. One of them, probably the most concerning, is an aggravated assault and aggravated battery with a deadly weapon. He's not new to law enforcement. He was transported to South Bay Hospital immediately after the shooting, our SWAT medics on scene began those life-saving measures, and the paramedics responded, took over, transported him to South Bay Hospital, where I was just recently notified he had succumbed to his injuries. Unlike every other use of deadly force, you have to allow me some leniency here with an exception. I normally tell you who the deputy involved is. I'm going to withhold his name at this point because he is an undercover detective and currently involved in several investigations that I believe releasing his name could place him, his family, in investigation in harm. So I'm going to hold off on releasing his name. The Florida Department of Law Enforcement has just arrived. They begin now conducting interviews, conducting the investigation, and take over at this point. What questions can I try to answer? Yeah, great question. A recently new girlfriend is what we're being told. A recently new relationship. That's all we know at this point. She was extremely frantic as we rescued her, and they're interviewing her now. Try it one more time. I'm sorry. Yeah, for obvious reasons, he made up an excuse of why he had to leave and did the right thing and called us. So we have someone who did the right thing today, and we saved the hostage because of it.
Sheriff, what about the man that was found dead in this car? How is he involved, and what is his relationship with your suspect?
Yeah, not sure at this point. We don't even have him identified. We haven't made entry into the car. That will come with a search warrant, so we will work that part of it, but we don't even know who he is, nonetheless, what the relationship is. Hopefully this newfound girlfriend, because the newfound girlfriend stayed at this same residence on and off as our victim of our homicide. So we know there's a relationship there. I just can't say unequivocally what it is at this point. I don't. I don't know. I don't know what her involvement was at this point. Again, they're interviewing her now. That will be some information that we'll be able to put out later as we continue this investigation.
So just to be clear, the person that called 911 alerting you to the situation was not the new girlfriend that was held hostage?
Correct. No, the new girlfriend was the hostage. Was indeed the hostage. The other individual who called us and led us to this crime scene was a friend. Again, a friend who was asked to come help me dispose of some trash. Got there, saw that what he wanted him to dispose of was a body of a deceased individual, and again, for obvious reasons, backed off, made up an excuse, and contacted us. You know, in 9.5 hours, you would think that you would get to know someone a little better. He never allowed that opportunity. Again, most people over this time frame would start to de-escalate from mere exhaustion alone. He was just the opposite. He became more hostile all the way to the end.
Can you spell Juan's last name for us, please?
Yes, I can. Juan Sarmiento. It's Sarmiento. And we'll put that out in a press release that we'll put out here real quick. I don't have that information at this time.
How long will this road remain closed here?
That's a good question. As long as it takes to properly conduct the investigation at this point, there's some search warrants that have to be obtained once they thoroughly comb all the evidence and everything they can do. Believe me, we know it's a main thoroughfare through Wimauma. We'll get it open as expeditiously as possible. No, this is a good community. Wimauma's become a very good community here in Hillsborough County. This was a surprise to us tonight. The individual involved wasn't, because he's not a person that's new to violence. But here in this neighborhood, violence is new.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you, everyone. One shot to the upper torso. I can't tell you. It'd be too preliminary to tell you that. That will all be figured out as we complete the investigation. Thank you.